Hello and welcome. This is Jennifer. I'm back after taking a break. I needed to focus on some family stuff. Things are getting a little bit better now, so I thought it was time to share a video. So this last weekend, Lila and I spent an entire Saturday making holiday tags. It was something that we thought would really make us smile, and it sure worked. We had so much fun adding different things to our tags to make them special, some older supplies too. And so I'm first going to show you a bunch of different tags and share ideas with you. And at the end, you'll see some clips that Lila filmed, and they're absolutely hilarious. She is a little mini me, so you can stay tuned for that. But before we get started, I did want to let you know that Christina Werner and I do have a new holiday class available. It starts today, but it's one of those classes that you can take at your own pace. Each day you get an email with additional videos that you can watch at any time. So if you are looking for more holiday ideas, loads of cards, loads of techniques, and lots of tips, be sure to check out this class. I'll have a link below. Okay, let's get started with our tags. For the tags today, I'm using the new Hero Arts My Monthly Hero Kit for November 2021. I use these kits a lot in my videos because the value is twice the cost, so it is really a great value. Included in this kit are all the dies you need to create the little characters we'll be making today. Also, a regular size stamp set with great greetings and background stamps. Then there are lots of other embellishments in here, some for making fake snow. I didn't actually have all those, so I'm just using the stamps and dies from this, and you'll see how much I get out of it. Okay, so here is a look at the dies. I just wanted to show you. You can see mine have been loved because I've done a bunch of die cutting for this. I really like the size of these because they work well on tags, but they also work great for cards. So if you're looking for card ideas instead, you definitely could use these. Now you can cut these from regular cardstock, which I'll do some of today, but I thought it would be fun to also add felt to these tags. Felt is wonderful for card making. Now I use felt from Benzie. I really love their colors and quality. I'll have a link to Benzie design below. You could use whatever felt you want. I like to put double-sided adhesive on one side of the felt before I die cut it. This makes working with die cut felt much better. It makes it a little more durable, and also it makes it super easy to stick it onto your project. I find that Altenew and Waffle Flower both have thin double-sided adhesive sheets like this that you can use and still die cut through the felt and the adhesive beautifully. So I cut my felt with the adhesive on the back side down to a workable size, and now I am placing on it all the dies that I want cut from red felt. By doing this, I am able to die cut more at once, which is a huge time saver. So I've placed all my dies in place, and I'll run this through my machine. Now the die cutting machine I'm using today is the Gemini Junior, but I found that this worked with the other die cut machines I have too. So I continued to die cut all the different pieces from different colors of felt with adhesive on the back, also some from cardstock and some from glitter paper. And you'll see all those options a little bit later in this video, but I did all of my die cutting at first. For the tags, I'm using an older Hero Arts tag die set, which also includes the little reinforcements if you want to add that around the hole at the top of the tag. I cut most of my tags from Hero Arts Sand cardstock, which is a light craft. I love the look of holiday colors against this cardstock. I did stamp on some of the tags with background stamps, which I'll show you a little bit later. But first, I thought we would just assemble a Santa so you can see the process I go through. So I have all of my pieces cut here, and you'll see how easy this felt is to work with when you put the adhesive on the back. So here we have the face, and all I have to do is remove the release paper and stick it onto my tag. Adhesive's already there, makes it very easy to work with. Now, I usually just stick the felt on, except if I'm using white. I'm like a perfectionist about this, and white felt can kind of sometimes be see-through, and I don't want it to be see-through. I want it to stay bright white. So whenever I use white felt, I do stick it onto a piece of white cardstock of the same die cut shape, just to make it stay bright white, and it also makes it sturdy. So here, because I put cardstock on the back of the beard, I can give it a little dimension too by putting a piece of foam tape behind it. Now here we have a hat. I did stick this onto a paper die cut too. The reason I did here is so, again, I could have dimension behind it. But if you want to save time, you could just stick all your felt pieces on top of each other. That's what Lila did on hers, and I'll show you her examples later in this video, and you'll see that they still work great. So again, felt you can just stick in place, but if you want dimension behind it, stick it onto a die cut and then put it in place. You could also glue your felt and your cardstock together with the double-sided adhesive first, then die cut it. It will cut through the layers. But when I did all of my die cutting, I didn't have that in mind. Thus, I have the separate pieces. Now, these dies really make it easy to assemble a simple character if you want, but I like to cut apart little different pieces so I can have multiple colors. So for example, the Santa hat is red. Then I just cut the little band around the front of it separate so I could make that white. Now the die makes a little kind of cut along where the two parts are, but keeps it together. And all you need to do is cut it apart a little bit and you'll be able to have two pieces. I like that that's the way they're designed, so you can either just do it quickly by one color or cut it apart from multiple like I do. So there I did the mustache, which was white felt on white cardstock. And then I cut out another nose from the skin color felt and added that on top. Now for the eyes, sometimes I popped in little black die cuts for the eyes, and sometimes I use Googly Eyes. And I like that you can change it up. One looks a little more traditional and one looks a little more playful. And that gives you more options. Here I did die cut green felt with adhesive on the back for the holly. And then I used a strong liquid adhesive to add some red gemstones for the berries. The adhesive I'm using today is Gina K Connect. I know this will hold tight and it works great with the felt. And then right at the end of his hat, I put a white pom pom. So I was able to use some old felt that I had, some old pom poms I had, and kind of add a little more interest to this Santa instead of just having him be cardstock. Now to make his nose a little rosy, I used an R30 Copic marker, which is a great way to kind of color your felt and change it up a bit. I did put some tape over that pom pom so it stays in place while it dries, and I'll remove it later. So this shows how I create the characters from felt. If you want to save time, you could definitely just do cardstock, and I'll show some of that later. But first I wanted to create another felt Santa, but this time I'm having the Santa head be freestanding. So I'm putting all of the felt die cuts on top of cardstock die cuts. The reason I'm making him freestanding instead of gluing it directly on the tag is because I want to use an action wobbler. If you want to make a little character ornament without putting on the tag, you could follow these same steps. In fact, you could cut additional die cuts, but backwards by putting the adhesive on the other side of the felt when you die cut, and glue all the extra die cuts to the back side so you have a Santa on both sides. But again, I'm sticking with the tags today. So I'm following the same process I shared last time. You could put these pieces together however you want. I like the flexibility of it. And now we have this freestanding Santa. Now when I put this these felt holly pieces up here, there's adhesive exposed on the back because it's a sticker. So what I do so that it's not sticky over there where the green's hanging out is I use an anti-static powder tool on it. And if you dab it enough, it covers up the stick. So that little area there will not be sticky. Next, I'm taking a piece of black cardstock and gluing it to the back so the black shows through the little holes for the eyes. And I use my piercer to kind of separate the lips so you can see the smile better. Now this is an action wobbler. There are two sizes. This is the bigger size, and you can see the smaller action wobbler sitting next to it. I felt the bigger size worked well for this since they're big characters. So you remove the release paper from both sides so you can hold the Santa onto the tag and look at how he is able to wiggle and move. This is especially fun on tags because they move as soon as you touch a package or bag that it's attached to. But you can use these action wobblers on cards because they do flatten down to fit in an envelope. Now another thing that you can do instead of adding the black die cuts for the eyes or putting black behind the openings is to use Googly Eyes. I think Googly Eyes are especially fun for kids tags, so I included a few of those in today's example too. By the way, a lot of these supplies I had on hand from other craft projects, but if you are looking for good options, I will have links for the ones that I bought in particular in my description below. Next, I thought I'd show how you can add a little extra something special even if you're just using cardstock. For example, on the Santa, I thought it would be fun to make his beard a little fluffier. So I took 2 white cardstock die cuts and I glued them together offset, which made his beard longer and have some more curls to it. So even if you're just using cardstock, you can really step little things up like this just to make the process more fun and the end project have a little more dimension. So all of this is cardstock except for this one piece, which is the little band at the base of the hat, which I did do from white felt. Now there are lots of different things you could use to create these die cut pieces. You could use fabric. Check your old fabric stash. There's probably something in it. You could use pattern paper. Maybe there's a red pattern paper that would be good for the hat. You could use up any of your stamp scraps. Maybe you have a white scrap with some light stamping on it you could use for the beard to make it more playful. You could even use an embossing folder on your die cut cardstock pieces to add some texture and dimension to them. That would be fun on the beard. So really you can do just little touches to kind of step up your project or keep it super simple. Now you may have noticed I forgot to put a sentiment on most of these tags. So I'm using the Hero Arts graphic line stamp set. I used Happy Happy Holidays for most of them, and on some I used Warm Winter Wishes. Now, I should have stamped all of these before assembling the characters, but I honestly forgot. However, I was still able to stamp with basic black ink right onto the bottom of the tag using a MISTI stamping tool. So before we move on to another character, let's look at all the different Santa ones I made. I made each a little different just to keep things fun. So the one on the left there has an action wobbler underneath it. The one on the right is just glued right onto the tag. You'll also see on the one on the right, I stamped little dots with red ink on the red cardstock hat, and that is using a stamp in the kit that I showed you. And I'll show an example of this later. So these were made from mostly cardstock. Now here are the other ones that I made using mostly felt. I did some with Googly Eyes, some with just cardstock eyes, and you can see the ones on the bottom middle. Those I didn't put white cardstock under the felt. I just stuck it right on. Lila actually made those. So you can get different looks. You could change up the colors. You could use glitter felt, glitter cardstock. Sky's the limit with the different looks you can get from this. There are many different holiday sets, die sets like this that create different characters. And I encourage you to maybe look through your stash on what you could use. These are so much fun to put together. All right, let's move on to Snowman. Now at this point, I decided I really liked when I stamped on the tag, so I decided to stamp a bunch of tags at once. So I used my MISTI stamping tool and I took the pad out because I'll be using a cling stamp. And I put in a sticky mat. I'll link to the one that I use below. I can stick onto that mat my tag, and I'm following the grid lines in the back, so each time I'm putting the tag in roughly the same spot. Here I have a Candy Canes background stamp from Hero Arts. This is a new one and it is fantastic. And I stamped this with a light gray ink. This is Hero Arts Granite ink. This kind of gives a tone-on-tone look on the craft cardstock. I did this on a few of them and I thought, I think I might like this better if I used white pigment ink. So I grabbed my Hero Arts Unicorn White Pigment ink and I did the rest with that. I really like the look of white ink on craft cardstock. So now all of my tags are stamped. Let's assemble some snowmen. Now for this example, I used cardstock, felt, and glitter paper. So you can see how the die creates little cuts to make the different parts of the hat. You can leave it connected or cut them apart as I do, so that you can have multiple colors to your die cuts. In this case, I did a hat from black glitter cardstock. Then I cut one from red cardstock and cut the little band off, and I'll glue that on to the black glitter hat. The snowman is probably the fastest to assemble. I'm gluing the white felt face right onto the tag, then adding the black glitter hat, then a red felt scarf right at the base of the snowman's face. And then I'll finish that off by adding the felt holly and some red gem berries. If you have red stickles, that would be great to use for berries too. I could not find my stickles to save my life, so I'll have to get a new jar of that red. It's great for the holidays. Now in this guy, I decided to add some Googly Eyes. And for nose, you could either do a little orange nose on there or make a carrot, in which I just cut one from some orange cardstock or felt. It's a pretty easy shape to cut. I then made it so his little smile is a little more visible, and there we have our tag. And notice I didn't learn my lesson. I forgot to stamp the greeting first, but I do have a spot for it there in the bottom left. All right, here is another snowman example. This time the tag is stamped with the new Hero Arts Argyle pattern stamp. This is a great stamp that looks especially good with white pigment ink on the craft cardstock. I assembled my little snowman here freestanding so that I could add him with an action wobbler onto the tag. Now the face on this one isn't made from felt, it's from cardstock. So I am using an Altenew blending brush, it's a small tip one, to put a little bit of soft pink ink onto his cheeks. Now I know snowmen don't have rosy cheeks, but you know, when you're creating, you can do whatever you want. So you could add this to the Santa and the elves if you want to also. Using a small blending brush or a little Q-tip works great for this. Okay, so now I am adding a little carrot nose to it, then an action wobbler to the back of it, and then we can add it to our tag. It's really fun how this wobbles around when it's attached to a gift. And also, it wobbles around when you take a card out of an envelope too. It kind of pops up and wiggles, so it's great for cards. I did want his eyes to have a little shine to them, so I put some glossy accents on them, and when that dries, it'll really stand out. Now remember how earlier I said you could stamp on your die cut pieces to add some interest? Well, this is the stamp set that comes with the kit, and those two background pieces are great for stamping on the die cut, so you can do a stripe or a dot. I decided to use a dot on several of my pieces today. So what I like to do is put my die cut onto the sticky mat, ink up the stamp and stamp it onto it, and there we have a patterned scarf. You could use any background stamp here. You could use an embossing folder. You could even use pattern paper. These scarves are excellent opportunity to use up any of the scraps you may have. Okay, so this one's made from all cardstock and glitter cardstock for the hat. Now, since I'm making this an action wobbler snowman, I did double up the die cut so they would stay strong. So if something bumped it, we wouldn't have to worry about it getting bent. And you can see this is a quick one to assemble too. Before we move on to the next character, I thought I would show you how you can turn these tags into a gift card holder very easily. I have another piece of craft cardstock here, and I'm putting liquid adhesive around 3 edges. That way I can glue it to the back of our tag with an opening at the top. Once it's dry, you can just slide a gift card into it. And on the pocket, you can write your personal message. This would be a fun way to do a teacher gift. Sometimes I'll give them things like a bag of personalized pencils or a little gift bag with something in it. Well, you can put this tag with an additional gift card hanging off the gift. On the top of all of my tags, I just used some old ribbon and twine that I found in my stash. These are things that I've had for years, but the kit does come with some red and white baker's twine. I think those would look great on all of these. I just didn't happen to have any, but I will definitely be getting some. All right, so now that that pocket has dried, right along the pocket edge, I'm putting just a scrap of red cardstock to give it a little finished look. And you can see there's plenty of room to write a message and tuck our little gift card inside. So let me show you all of the snowman tags that I created. Some are made from felt, some from cardstock, and some from glitter paper. Some of them have action wobblers and some don't. I like to change things up when I make a bunch of something, just so I don't get bored with the process. And there's the example with the gift card on the back. Now notice this one on the left, I used white glitter cardstock for the face, and I ended up liking that one a lot. So when I go back to make more, I'll definitely make that switch. I did go back and add the warm winter wishes to the bottom left corner. Fits nicely there under the scarf. Okay, now let's do the reindeer. I'm going to go through this one pretty quickly, but I do cut up the die cuts a bit just to get a fun look to the ears and to the antlers. So I die cut 2 cardstock antler pieces here from ivory cardstock. Now from this, I'm going to cut the little loop out of the center. I didn't use the loops on any of my characters today, but know that they're there if you want to make a tag that's shaped. Now at the center of the ears, I use my R30 Copic marker just to add some pink. I also cut the antlers from some light brown felt, and it has adhesive on the back. And I just cut off one of the ears and I lay it onto the cardstock ears. So that makes the outline of the ears that light brown felt with pink on the inside. And I'll do the same thing for the other ear. So the ivory antler piece is kind of a backdrop for these ears also. The rest of it is very simple. I have a felt face and I'm gluing this antler piece right to the back top of the felt face. I then have the nose piece, which is made from a lighter brown felt. I'll add that and a red felt nose. When I find my red stickles or order another jar of them, I really think that would work well there. You could also use a large gemstone, but today I decided to go with the felt. Finally, I added a blue felt scarf right to the base back of the reindeer and put an action wobbler so that this will wiggle around on our pool colored note card. Now this is Hero Art's Arctic cardstock, I believe, and I stamped the background stamp with Hero Art's soft pool ink. I added a little holly piece to the scarf, and I'll add some gems. I thought I'd try to make his nose a little sparkly. I have some old Nuvo drops here with some glitter in it, and I just put a thin layer so there would be some sparkle. Added some red gemstones, and there we have our fun little reindeer. I did use the warm winter wishes again in the bottom corner. Still haven't learned my lesson to do that first. But I ended up creating a bunch of the reindeer also. You can see most of them are from felt, except for the second one from the right. That one I made with all cardstock. Lila and I want to make some more of these and use those pear blossom lights so that the nose will light up next time. So we'll definitely have to give that a try. But there you can see this is pretty easy to assemble once you get the ears and antlers ready. Next, we have some elves to create, and then Lila will take over. So for these, I mostly used cardstock for the faces, and I just glued a piece of black glitter paper between the two die cuts. So when they're glued together, the black glitter paper would show through the eyes. I would glue on an additional nose afterwards. For the hair and ears, I cut from a skin color cardstock and then cut off the ears from a brown felt cardstock and glue those two pieces together. So now he has felt hair and skin colored ears made from cardstock. Then everything else is very easy to assemble. Now most of mine I used red felt or red stamped cardstock, but you really could do a bunch of different color elf hats and little neck pieces if you want to. Now the hat for this is similar to the Santa one. I assembled it in the same way, and I added the little neck piece to the bottom. Now this next step was actually Lila's idea. It was her idea to put a little real gold bell at the end of the hats on all the elves, and then also these Trinity stamp gold baubles to the tips on the collar, and that really adds a lot of fun to it. So look through your gems, your pearls, your old crafting supplies, dig out some of those bells and pom-poms and put them to use on your tags. Here are 4 elf tags that I created. I did use the pink ink and the blending tool to add a little peach to the cheeks. And each one is a little bit different. In some I put a bigger nose, and some I put a smaller nose, and in some I used Googly Eyes. I will say I do like the black glitter for the eyes because it really catches the light nicely. Okay, next I thought I would show you Lila's work. So these are all tags Lila and I made together before shooting this video. So all of these were assembled by her. We did a bunch of die cutting and assembled them, and I think she did a great job. She didn't want to put any messages on the front because she plans to do written messages on the back. So there are the different ones, and I really like the reindeer on the red tags too. So Lila's going to show you how to assemble some cute little mugs, hot chocolate mugs, for the front of tags. Now I created 4 and she created 4. Now for them I used the Hero Arts Hug in a Mug stamp set and die. The stamp and die comes together. Here's the stamp set with lots of great greetings, and the dies are there on the top right. That's what I used to assemble the mugs. I also used a greeting from this Hero Arts Cozy Winters stamp set. I thought that warm and cozy greeting would be great for these hot chocolate tags. So I did 4, just like I've shown you many times in this video, combining some felt and some cardstock in different ways, but I'm going to let you see how Lila assembled these. She did the filming on her own. I can't have her do the voiceover because she's at school now, but I wanted you to see her work. So she lays down 4 tags at once and all of the die cut pieces and then glues them all on at once. Now, Lila loves glue. She loves her Gina K Connect so much, probably because she loves her Aunt Gina. And she likes to give thumbs up when she does a good job. You'll notice she puts quite a bit of glue on the back of her die cuts. No matter how many times I remind her, you don't need that much glue. You only need a teeny bit. There she gave herself a thumbs down because she got glue on the desk. But you just need a bit of glue on the back, and then you can add it to the tag. I get a kick out of these thumbs up and thumbs down that she gives during this. I just think it's so cute. So after adding all the mugs, she die cut some brown cardstock for the hot chocolate in each. Hero Arts does have a dark brown glitter cardstock, and next time we're definitely going to have to use that so there's some sparkle too. Now I thought this was adorable what she did here. Those little holes are at the top of the tag, so she took the lid of her Gina K adhesive and just popped them out using the lid. I tell ya, she's going to take over my job one of these days. And I do think it's funny she's wearing a Halloween dress while doing a Christmas video because it was before Halloween when we filmed this. Okay, so there are candy canes in the die set, and so she used a red Copic marker to color every other stripe red. She used white felt to die cut the whipped cream on top, and there she's trying to hold it close up like she sees me do many times in videos, and she's tucking a candy cane into one of the little slits in the fluff of the whipped cream, and then we'll cut off the bottom of the candy cane and then stick that right onto her card. So the adhesive on the back of the felt will hold that candy cane there. But as I told you, she loves glue. Watch, she loves it. There we go. Okay, I had to come to the rescue and wipe a little bit of that away. And there she has her candy canes added to inside of her whipped cream. I don't know what it is, but there is something precious about little hands crafting. I think there are so many things kids could be doing these days, and crafting is just such a good thing for them to spend their time doing. All right, so next we have a little hollies that we can add to the base of the little coffee mug. Now she cut her little holly leaves apart so she could put them wherever she wanted, which I thought was fun. And because she is my mini me, she's going to hold it up to the camera so you can get a closer look. Unfortunately, she can't see the screen because she's shorter, so she doesn't really notice that it's not in focus when she holds it up, but the thought is what counts. Now she's using quite a bit of Gina K Connect to add some little red gemstones to the base. Now, if you're doing crafting with a kid, I encourage you to teach them how to use the tools safely, like those Tim Holtz scissors and a die cut machine. She's 9 and she's been around this stuff for a long time, so she can do her own die cutting. But if you want to make things easier, you could have all the pieces pre-die cut, so all they have to do is assemble. They usually like that part the best anyway. She wanted to leave the bottoms empty and write her own sentiment, but here are 3 that I did. Same idea. I used some felt. I did add a little bit of glitter to my felt so it has some shine, but I assembled everything in the same way, and I did add a red heart die cut to the mug itself. So if you're looking for an idea of how to spend a crafty afternoon, especially if there's a child involved, I encourage you to look at your different dies you have. Look at ways you can use different products to assemble them. Maybe use some felt, some fabric, some jingle bells, different things to make them extra special. Now, everything that I used today will be linked below in my YouTube description. I do think this Hero Arts kit will sell out quickly, so if you are interested, be sure to check it out right away. And I really want to thank you all for your patience and understanding as I took time off. I got a lot of really encouraging messages, and I can't thank you enough. So at the end here, I'll have a couple other videos linked. You all have a wonderful day, and I'm going to see you back very, very, very soon with another video.